What is going on, Notre Dame fans? Mike Singer and Tim Hyde live on the Blue and Gold YouTube channel. Hope you guys are ready for some fun because that's exactly what tonight is going to be. We have a lot to discuss. Transfer portal, recruiting news. We're going to talk a little quarterbacks. We really do have a ton to break down. So, Tim, you're on the boat. Doing well, my friend?
Yeah. Super excited. You know what, Mike? I was driving over here and I started getting really fired up, man. It feels like spring's over with, it really, like I said, driving, just started thinking about football season. It's like, man, it's getting ready, right? We got obviously the little April's gone, we're May now, recruiting period, summer, but it's like, dude, this kickoff's coming hard, especially when you start seeing all the everyone's already got 2025 mock drafts. And it's like, what the hell? It's like, are you serious? How right are those? Hopefully they're wrong, because I've seen 5 or 6 of them, and both Texas A&M DNs are in every single first round. So let's hope that is not a good prediction by these guys, since Notre Dame plays those guys and a little weakness at offensive tackle. So let's just hold loose on that. But other than that, Mike, I'm fired up, looking forward to talking. And man, I don't know, man. Everything kicked in tonight for some reason. I started getting really hyped about A&M. So
I like it. I'm excited. I am driving. My wife and I are heading down to Central Florida tomorrow. Seeing tomorrow Brady Hart practice. So I'm super pumped about that. And then the next morning, I will be seeing Noah Grubbs just popping by his high school. And then spending time with family this weekend. And then early next week, seeing, I hope, DJ Williams, a Notre Dame target in the 26th class in Tampa. Maybe Justin Thurman, Notre Dame running back commit. I don't really need to interview him or anything. Justin Thurman's just my boy. I just want to go to school and see him. And then I'll be watching Dallas Golden practice next Tuesday. So we'll have some really good stuff to discuss next Wednesday, Tim.
So because Mike, when you go on your little recruiting trips, you always take photos. Could Dallas Golden be that future recruiting issue? So you got to make sure you get a good picture.
That's a good call.
Got to get a good picture. So just think about that.
Yeah. Boggs told me he's not able to practice. He just has like a very slight injury, so there's just precautionary. But I'll still get to see him as well. So good call on Golden.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not able to see. I wanted to see Ivan Taylor, just not able to make it work. But got to think Deuce Knight's on the cover though, right? Got to think Deuce Knight.
We'll talk about that down the road, right?
Never has who's on our cover of our blue and gold recruiting issue been a discussion topic for the show, but it might have to be.
It could be, because this class has some
Will Black. I mean, maybe like at the On 3 Elite Series, Tim.
There you go.
Will Black and Deuce Knight will both be there. So we'll have a professional photographer. I'll be there. I'm super pumped about that in May. So there's the shot, Tim.
Possible 2 5-stars on the cover, Mike. Make it happen.
All right, we'll get a little duo shot there, folks. Please hit the thumbs up on this YouTube video. Subscribe to our channel for more content. I really am excited about this show tonight, even though I got to be up super early in the morning. But we're time is not a discussion. There's no we're gonna save this for next week. We're talking about it all tonight, and yeah. So hit the thumbs up on this video. Subscribe to the YouTube channel for more content. If you're listening via podcast, thank you very much. Hope you all are doing well whenever you're listening to today's episode. Just ask that you would leave us a kind review wherever you listen to your podcast. A little note here, Tim, I tweeted out earlier today. 5 years ago today, I officially joined the Blue and Gold staff. And a few weeks ago, I signed a long-term deal to keep me locked into Fighting Irish. Thankful to all the Notre Dame fans who read/watch my work, and to the recruits who let me tell their story. So I tweeted that out today. With a little Jack Black salute there. So, yeah, just kind of wanted to give that little note. And I think I've talked about that. I recently signed with Blue and Gold on 3 a long-term deal. So pretty pumped.
Yeah, well, hey, congrats. I've been off the grid for a couple of days, which feels so good, Mike. I mean, seriously, it's like,
what have you been doing? You've been what?
off the grid. Is that what they
I've
call it? When you're not
never
on the
heard
grid?
of it. So like,
Have I
you
heard?
haven't-
Well, off
what?
the grid. Maybe that's a CIA term. Maybe I watch too many Tom Clancy movies. But
No, I'm kidding. I'm joking. I just am never off the grid.
really, I've
So
not been on Twitter for a few days or anything. I will get on tonight and check out, see what's happening in the world. So looking forward to going further. But congratulations on all that. So
thank you.
yeah,
All right.
I'm week to week, so I just keep showing up. So.
They haven't said anything yet. All right, Eddie Davis with the super chat kind of leads us into our first discussion. He says, and thank you, Nick, for the 5. He says, "Are you surprised about the lack of portal entries for Notre Dame? I think it's a boon to the program." What are your thoughts on this, Tim? And then we wanted to talk about the quarterbacks, and I actually talked to a source about this yesterday, and I'm gonna have a really pardon my French, I'm going to have a badass report soon with from talking to some sources this week about, I mainly do recruiting stuff, but I'm going to do this from like a team perspective, like the guys who are actually on the roster. So I'll talk about that in a second. But yeah, what are your thoughts about this and then specifically with the quarterbacks?
Yeah, I sent you a message today. We always talk about what we want to talk, discuss and prep. And I was like, dude, number one issue's got to be Notre Dame's going into this summer with 4 quarterbacks. Who had that? So I don't think anybody. Yeah, you did, Mike. I'm actually. Am I stunned, so to speak, or is it the 3 sitting in the background? Like, all right, how's that ankle? Who has the shot, so to speak? And is it just going to be a battle royale come next January, and then whoever wins it wins it? Deuce Knight comes in, and the other 2 leave. I mean, who knows, right? In this crazy world, but I am, let's just jump into it. I'm very surprised. We haven't seen more, but at the same time, it's like, I don't want to throw out names, but some of the names on the back end of the roster, if you want to talk about 2 deep, you guys on the 3s or whatever, it could be getting close to their, to their graduation. These are some of the older guys, and they're like, why am I jumping the portal when I could get a Notre Dame degree? Maybe some of you guys haven't burned a red shirt and they could do it. And then, transfer down the road with another year or 2. Who knows? But that's surprising. Quarterbacks, Mike. Yeah, I'm stunned unless, we're throwing out Riley, which we fully expect to be the starter. Those 3 guys, well, at least one we know for sure, CJ Carr being the freshman. He's like, why am I leaving?
Right. But so now you're talking about 4. Now you're down to 2. And I've been telling you guys forever, Steve's not going anywhere, at least not now. After the season, whole different discussion. And Minchie was the wild card, and Minchie's happy. So
redshirted. It's his red shirt fresh. It was his first true spring football. He really didn't get a lot last year because he had that shoulder surgery during his senior football season. So he's probably like, hey, I'm going to keep working, see what happens, develop, and this as we know, if Marcus Freeman, as we keep talking, and we've said this 1,000 times. If he's not bringing in a transfer, I'm sure all 3 of those guys fully are telling themselves, I'm going to win this job. So,
next year is a different discussion. Yeah. And again, I'm going to have like a really good, like a team specific report, maybe Friday or Saturday. I don't know. I'm going to be with family and traveling and whatnot. So we'll see on that. But with regards to just the Super Jet in general, about are you surprised? No. I think they're at 87 right now. Yeah, that number might go up to 88. They had the Rice DB on campus. They just offered a guy from West Virginia who we'll talk about during today's show. So they're looking at defensive backs, corners. It's going to be fine. The term good things come to those who wait, guys. I know we need to know right now who it's going to be. We're all Notre Dame junkies. We need to know. But, guys, you're going to find out. We'll get through this together. I promise. It's not really good for anyone to really speculate and then the family see it on social media. It's just not good. So Tim made a good point. Look, some guys want to get their degrees and then they can bounce. But yeah, it will work out. I promise you. Look at me, Notre Dame fan. They'll get down to 85. And by the start of the season, they'll probably be at like 85, like 83 or 84. Something. They'll be okay. And they don't have to be down to 85 until fall camp starts. So they will be okay. I promise you. So it'll be good. So don't you worry.
So real quick,
Barberry asks about Notre Dame bringing in a punter. How about Marty Biaggi's been in Australia all week, Tim?
Yeah, that's funny. I remember. Yeah, you actually mentioned that to me a week ago, and I was like, "What?" So yeah, he's going down there, find those Aussie kickers. You got some older guys. I mean, you just get a guy off of one of the rugby teams down there, Aussie rules football. Come down here and boot the ball 70 yards when needed. That's what a recruiting trip, right? Seriously, what a recruiting trip. Hey, you want to go down to Australia and go research some kickers? That's got to be a fun little project going on for him. But on the quarterbacks, is it? I mean, obviously, we always talk so much, Mike, about the three. I mean, that's why he brought Riley Leonard. Freeman kind of said, I brought in him in case one leaves. So you're always expecting one to leave, but it is fascinating. Going to be going into summer ball unless something crazy happens with all four on the roster. So that's going to be pretty fun to monitor, see how that rolls during camp and how the pecking order is, obviously during the football season.
Okay. Okay, so we talked quarterbacks. Let's go right to let's get into a discuss. Okay, no, we'll go NFL draft, Tim. We're gonna kind of just boom, 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 go through this. Joe Alt, number 5 overall to the Chargers. He's gonna go play with a bunch of former Notre Dame guys. We don't need to talk about his head coach. But the highest pick for a Notre Dame player since Rick Meyer back in 93. Yeah. And the highest offensive lineman since Art Hunter in 1954, who I'm sure Lou Emoji is watching this show, up above, and he's telling me, or he's wanting to tell me all about Art Hunter because he probably knows everything about him. But anyway, Sim, Joe Alt, going number 5 overall. Give me your spiel.
Oh, he's an absolute stud. I was excited as could be. I remember when we talked about him months ago, I even said, it's not going to be a popular opinion. I hope he goes and plays for Harbaugh in the style of football he's going to play. And obviously, his past and his track record, wherever he's been at winning with programs. So really excited for Joe Alt going there. I think it's awesome. I mean, to get picked that high, I know we talked about it with him when he was on our show, how his dad went number 2. His dad was the second offensive tackle selected. Obviously, Joe surpassed him there, so that was pretty cool. His dad, though, he was in Los Angeles with Joe. Someone asked his dad about Joe, trying to compare the two, and his dad gave Joe a little dig because his dad ran a faster 40, Mike. He ran like a 4.9 at the combine. How about that? Good old John Alt flying by his own son. So I thought that was pretty cool. But Mike, doing a little research here as well. I went all the way back to era. Joe Alt is only the 7th, the lucky 7 of Notre Dame players to get picked in the top 5. I thought that was fascinating. And and by the way, I got to look at that because George Kuntz was the number 2 pick in 1969. He was an offensive lineman. I don't understand how he didn't get mentioned. Then you got a bunch of D linemen, McCoy, Paluski, Nias, and then during Holtz's years, you had Todd Light, Rick Meyer, and now Joe Alt. So the lucky 7, the top 5 picks. I think that's pretty awesome, especially when you see how many great offensive linemen, how many great Notre Dame players have been picked. Like Quentin Nelson was number 6. Ronnie Stanley was number 6. So for Joe Alt to get that honor, congrats to him. He's been on a bunch of interviews. Colin Cowherd, like every single radio show, I've been watching those on YouTube. So I know he's really excited about that.
All right, Tim.
He's got camp real quick. May 9th. Next weekend is his rookie camp. So looking forward to seeing how that goes.
Joe Alt, an alum of our show. We had him on like a month ago. It's pretty awesome.
He got the Singer Hyde bounce in the draft because all the projections were 7. So he got moved up.
Hey, no one can disprove that. All right, Tim. We're gonna have to move along a little bit quicker now. We gave Joe Alt his flowers.
Yeah, the first 2 are the
Blake Fisher, number 59 overall. I mean, yeah, I'm very pleasantly happy for Blake Fisher going this high.
I know where he worked out. He worked out with O-line masterminds out there in Frisco, Texas, where the Cowboys work out, and the guy who runs it is an alum of where I coached football for a decade. So he'd give me, he and I had chatted a handful of times talking about Blake and how he had worked out and things of that nature, and the scouts were just falling in love with him and rewatching his film. And Blake gets such a it's interesting. Let's take 30 seconds on this. All these people that thought he made a mistake, Mike. How is it a mistake when you're picked in the second round? Second round, he only has to do 4 years. He could get the second contract. He started for 3 years. I mean, technically, he was 3 and done. And I think also another thing, Fisher and Alt are the only true juniors in the history of Notre Dame football, on the offensive line to leave 3 years and go. And they both get picked in the top 59 picks. So, and by the way, that's only happened a handful of times. I went back and it's only happened only 5 times since 1964. Has 2 Notre Dame offensive linemen been picked in the first 2 rounds that high. So kudos to those guys. 3 offensive line coaches for Alt and Fisher. And I think Fisher, I said on the message board, I got in arguments with people. He made the right decision. 27 starts. And what did the GM of the Chargers say? He's a Notre Dame lineman. He's well coached. And those were things I know I've talked about a million times. So congrats to Blake Fisher.
All right, Tim. Maris Leafowl, 3rd round, 87 overall.
Congrats. I mean, seriously, top 100, the 4th highest inside linebacker picked since the Holtz era. So I thought that was another thing pretty awesome.
All right. Sorry, I'm like seriously multitasking.
No,
Cam Hart, 5th round, 140 overall. So a little bit of a slide for him.
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to the medicals. I think that was talked about a billion times with him. It's always going to be the medicals. Super talented, corner, the medicals. How does it pan out on there? So we'll roll from there. But hell of a 5th year. Once again, had he not gotten hurt in that BC game the year before, he would have went pro a year ago. So Notre Dame fans, all of us got to watch him for 1 more year. So really excited for him.
The one time I need you to just keep rambling, Tim. 143 overall, JD Bertrand going to the Falcons.
Yeah, Bertrand and Marish. You got the 2 old guys on the horn there getting the pick. So I think that's awesome. JD Bertrand was a stud, captain, the tackling machine the last few years, captain on the field. Going back even to Marish real quick, you hear all the videos that have gone out, why he was picked. The Dallas staff was like, he was just one of the smartest dudes we interviewed when it comes to defensive football. So I thought that was awesome. And obviously JD as well. So these guys are going to make a roster. They're football junkies and, really excited. How about JD? I think his high school's, I read 20-25 minutes away from the Falcons facility. So that's pretty cool.
Audric Estimé, 147 overall, 5th round to Denver.
This is not surprised. I mean, he ran the slowest 40. I know he ran faster at his pro day. Everyone runs a faster at their pro day on campus, just the way it is. But I want to say no one's ever been. He may be the 1st or 2nd player drafted who's run a 4.7 and lower since this has been going on. So I think his film did him a service. Service of getting him drafted. But it's all going to be about speed with him at the next level. Hell of a Notre Dame career, and looking forward to seeing what he does.
Sorry, guys. Notre Dame is getting a punter. And I know everyone cares so much about the punter. It's the biggest news ever. We got a punter.
Who committed?
It's I don't know. I'm telling Jack and Tyler to deal with it, and so when they tweet it out, we'll pop it up on the screen. Breaking news. Who else we got?
Is he coming from Europe? Is he coming from Australia? Is he on the plane?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah. It was crazy. Someone posted on the message board Sunday night, we need an Aussie punter.
Yeah.
And then I find out Biaggi's going to Australia. And then I'm like, is this guy prophetic? Like what this just random poster. So
a little NIL cash to help pay for that tuition and the plane rides for his parents, huh?
Awesome. Scholarship. It will be scholarship. So so there you go. I thought they would do a walk on. But no, I guess
Yeah,
when you
you
bring
I
a
mean,
guy
you can
from
have
Australia,
well, that's the thing nowadays. It's like, I mean, you could have walk-ons, you just give them NIL and it pays their tuition. So, it's a way you get a lot of really good football players these days.
JJB, Tim, I need like 10 seconds. We really need to get going. I
Sure.
know I said we weren't going to do that, but it's 20 minutes in. We can't spend too much
Hey,
time.
he's the guy that
7th round to the Commanders.
7th round, the 7th player picked. ND's only had a handful of years, since some of the great Lou Holtz ones where they've had 7 draft choices. So that was awesome for him. Plus, thank you, JJB, for getting picked. You know why, Mike? They still are ahead by 1 against USC. USC had 7 guys picked. So Notre Dame is still leads USC by 1 in the all-time draft. So that was big to have Baptiste picked.
And then was it okay? And then we'll just go to one free agent signing.
What do you got?
Tim, the most handsome man in America, Sam Hartman, future bachelor. Commanders, and I wrote an article for our newsstand earlier this week. It's like one of the highest paid free agent, like undrafted free agents, which goes to show like the Commanders plan to keep him this season.
Yeah, I found that interesting because the signing bonus is only $20,000. So I found that interesting. But if he makes it, I think it's like 225 he gets. I think that's what maybe it's a little higher, but yeah, we'll see. I mean, quarterback, free agents, you never know. But the fact that when you're picked up like 30 seconds after the draft ends, those are usually good things. Meaning a team always had you on their board and things of that nature. So Sam's going to have a legitimate shot, new coaching staff. Isn't that where, oh my God.
JJB, yeah.
No, the coach, who's the OC? Oh my God, brain fart. The Cardinals coach. I think he's the OC there.
Oh, Kingsbury?
Yes. Cliff Kingsbury. I think he's the OC for the
All right, a couple
Redskins.
of handsome guys together. Absolutely love it. So here's the news. Australian punter James Rendell.
Look at this.
So that's the story. We got one sentence so far. So 23 years old.
Oh, nice.
6'6", 225.
Can he rush the quarterback? It's that play a little
grad transfer with 2 or 3 years to play. Semi-pro footy player. I'm just, the old phone's buzzing over here, guys. Just a mover and shaker over here.
Oh, hold on, you're a grad transfer with multiple years to play.
I know.
I love the new NCAA is the best, Mike. It's like just show up and we'll just give you years.
So there you go.
Oh, nice. So now I wonder, are they going to do the big shield roll now, right, left with the Aussie kicker? That's going to be fun to check out.
Yeah. What's the punter's 40 time, guys? Yeah, I don't know yet. I'm doing a YouTube show. Sorry.
6'6". That's good. Well, I mean, they're going to have a new snapper, so if the ball goes over his head,
hold on. I got a picture of him. I don't know how tall Marty Biaggi is. I mean, but look how much taller he is than Biaggi.
Yeah. Marty's a good solid, but 5'10", 5'11". Hopefully he's.
So there you go.
20.
So there you go. They lose a handsome old guy, and they go out and get another one. So
6'6", he better dunk. 6'6", 220. Can Freeman and these guys get some ends that are like that? Can we get some 6'6", 220 guys?
He smokes cigs at practice. Fun show. Did not expect to come on here and break some Australian punter news to you guys, but long cut. Right? Oh my gosh, you guys go.
Yeah, there goes.
All right, we're through the NFL draft stuff.
Good to go.
So Tim, more fun talk here. Draft stuff is an absolute bore to me. Just gonna be honest.
I'll be honest, Mike. I didn't even watch it. I just got little alerts.
I was in Chicago, and I was at I was in Wrigleyville, and there's a DraftKings sports bar, and nice. Watching the first round of the draft with hundreds of Bears fans. It was really, really freaking cool.
Oh, that's cool.
I got a video, so I'll never forget. The crowd went more berserk when the Dunze kid got picked up by them. They went nuts that he fell. What about the Michael Penix? That just
Dude, the draft is
mind-boggling.
like, I don't get any of it. I don't get. I mean, the draft is just wild sometimes.
Yeah,
it is. It's just wild.
All right, Tim. We're gonna hear from Augie's locker room because we know that you guys love Notre Dame memorabilia and unique, one-of-a-kind Notre Dame items that you can only find at one place, like Michael Floyd, Brady Quinn, Tony Rice, Ian Book signed jerseys. Are you freaking kidding me? It's Augie's locker room, and it's affordable too. You can only find this kind of stuff at Augie's locker room, folks, which has moved to a brand new location. Come see the new store at 1733 North Ironwood Drive in South Bend, right down the street from Notre Dame. So whether you're local, you're in town, you're driving through, whatever the case may be, you got to make time for Augie's locker room to see their wide selection of Notre Dame Stadium pieces, jerseys, helmets, autographs, and one-of-a-kind Rockney items. You can also find exclusive Joe Montana signed items and famous sculptor Jerry McKenna's replicas of the bronze statues around the stadium. And Augie gets new stuff in all the time. If he doesn't have it in store, he's going to go find it for you. Visit Augie at 1733 North Ironwood Drive in South Bend and see the vintage helmet display dating back to 1890. He's got amazing stuff that you're going to want to see. So visit Augie online at augieslockerroom.com, 574-277-6363. Or 6363 is also NDND if you still have, a flip phone. So 574-277-ND. All right, Tim, give me a second. Make sure we get the profile done at Kyle Kelly. And then I need to send the boys the IG. Okay, sorry.
By the way, this I just saw the picture of the punter. This dude's huge. This guy is. I'm excited. I'm excited. Hopefully, we don't see a lot of punts, but you always know you're going to punt sometime. And looking forward to seeing a 6'6" punter just knock the living heck out of it. For all the guys that have been around, it's like what Hunter Smith, I think, was 6'4", I believe. Great kicker for Notre Dame, and then long time with the Colts.
Tim, this is just the whole. It's a punter thing, which it's May, so we're obsessed with talking about punters because we have nothing else. But like the whole this just kind of goes to show when it comes to the roster changes. Sometimes there's just Notre Dame's did not see it coming bad. Like Rico Flores, when he left, that was a shock. Notre Dame did not see that coming. That stung Notre Dame. Now, several months after, it's fine. They've replaced him. Some guys have stepped up. They're okay. But for the most part, they know what they're doing. So when Bryce McPherson leaves and everyone's like, oh my God, our starting punter's gone. The sky is falling. Like, guys, they just replaced him with like a world-class freaking looking athlete who has multiple years to play. He probably has as much years to play as McPherson does. Maybe McPherson's got one more year on him. So it's going to be okay. It's going to be all right. So, all right, Tim, we're going to move along to talking about some defensive backs. How about Dallas Golden committing to the Irish? So, Tim, you told me you were doing a little bit of traveling this past weekend.
Yeah, I was in Boston for 4 days. I know you were in Chicago, so yeah.
So Dallas Golden committed, so we couldn't record that video. I had to go solo. It was very, very sad, Tim. I couldn't do that with you to talk about this.
I told you I was bummed, man.
You're a huge fan.
Oh man,
of Dallas Golden. So he committed to Notre Dame. He told the staff Wednesday night, I think, and then announced it Sunday. No big top schools. No, hey, I'm committing on this day. Just a good old hit you in the face, Notre Dame fans. No crystal balls coming in at the last second. Absolutely was so happy with the media not doing that. So nice surprise on Sunday. And picking the Irish over Clemson, Florida State, Miami, Georgia. He visited in March. A&M, Central Florida. Those are just some of the schools he's visited recently at the long offer list. So listed as the number 14 safety number 12 safety per the On3 industry ranking, number 100 over. Come on, Singer. Words. Number 104 overall player. Safety prospect listed on the profile, but coming to Notre Dame as a corner. And our esteemed colleague, Mike Goolsby, thinks he's an offensive player at the next level. Like, that's where he wants to see him play. So how fired up are you about this one, Tim?
Oh, I'm ecstatic. I mean, I mean, I think he's the best football player that is committed. I think he's the best one. That's why I mentioned to you possible cover for your great recruiting issue that comes out there after signing day, February. Mike, this dude is dynamic, electric. He is everything. I mean, just look at his offer list. It's like, who didn't want him down south? Everybody. This is a massive win in recruiting to go into Tampa, go into this school and get the athlete that he is. Yeah, he could play anything. I mean, seriously, I mean, I know that could be a fun little talking point, but my God, it's like he could play slot. He could play. I mean, we talk about Jeremiah Love, throw a swing pass to this guy in the open field. And then DB, they got to get him on the field. This guy is athletic, talented as any player out there in the country. And, the recruiting stuff is like, it blows my mind, Mike, because when you watch him as a high school football player, I'm like, how the heck is this guy not nationally ranked in the top 50 by everyone? He is so damn good. That's what kills me sometimes with rankings. Like, are there really, like one of the services, is there really 150 kids better than him in the country? I mean, I guess so, but he's awesome. He's literally my favorite football player. I am so happy. I was stunned when you told me, seriously, when you told me, like, dude, they're getting Dallas Gold. I was like, oh my God, this is a big win. Just be honest about it. It's a massive, massive recruiting win to go into the South, not just the South, but in the Florida. And they're getting a 5-star talent is who they're getting. So this is awesome.
Yeah. What a recruiting win. I've talked about this a couple times now, but when Notre Dame offered Dallas Golden, Keon Keeley was still committed to the Irish. That's how long ago they have been recruiting this kid. August 2022. And I don't really want to tell the story, but I do want to. So I'm going to tell it. I was talking to a source that month, maybe a week after Notre Dame offered. My source is like, dude, I know this is crazy. You should put in a pick. I was like, I'm crazy enough to do it. Hell yeah, I'll do it. And that one I would certainly kind of get a permission from. So I reached out to Dallas's dad and I was like, I know this is crazy, but I just think your son, there's a decent chance at the end of the day he ends up at Notre Dame. Would you mind if I did this? And he was like, yeah, it's a little too early. And we don't want to, that to impact his recruiting process at all and like scare off any other schools because they just think he's going to Notre Dame. So I understood that, had no problem with that. So I didn't put in the pick. But could you imagine, Tim, if I would have just pulled the trigger on it?
Well, I remember when he got off. Obviously, we're talking so much about Keeley back then and things of that nature. I remember watching his film too, and it's probably just me who long suffering ND fan. It feels like I watched this film. I'm like, why am I watching this film? This guy's going to Georgia. This guy's going to Florida State. This guy's going to Alabama, right? And those are things I literally thought about at first. Because you look at this guy, Mike. I'm telling you, I got in an argument with some people on the board. Like Notre Dame always has good football players. I don't care what anyone said. They always have really good football players. This dude does things on the field. It's been a long time, in my little tiniest opinion on this earth, that Notre Dame's had to do that could play 5 different spots and be an All-American and play in the NFL. That's the type of athlete this dude is. It is not, well, he's just a corner. He's just this. Dude, wherever you want to play as a freshman, get his butt on the field, get him his experience. It's like Reggie Brooks. Reggie Brooks started as a true freshman at corner, ends up finishing 5th in the damn Heisman, down the road and being a 2nd-round NFL pick at running back. So multiple positions. Who cares? Get him on the field. This guy's, look, the way this guy runs is just awesome. I love watching his film. And I'm going to fight, Mike, for this guy to get on the cover. So
okay.
Seriously, he's my favorite player. Even some of the guys they have, possible to commit down the road. Some will say Deuce Knight because it's the quarterback. I get it. Will Black's a 5-star lineman. Great. Notre Dame gets a lot of those guys. Notre Dame don't get dudes the SEC. Every damn team in the SEC wants out of Tampa, Florida. So I love watching this guy's film, man. Hopefully he's like a Jeff Burris and they put him in the goal line packages if he's a DB. Everyone knows the great college football Hall of Famer for the Irish and the whole cheers. And go let him run the ball down in the goal line and
Wait, this isn't him throwing the ball, right? This is him catching it.
He's all over the.
Okay, So this is
everywhere,
him.
Mike. He's everywhere.
I was like, is this him throwing the ball? Okay, wait, is that? That's 2. What number is he?
He's everywhere. He's playing. He's speaking of DBs. My God, he's all the old dogs who's been around for a while. He's playing quarterback like old Tom Carter. Tom Carter was a quarterback. And
no, he's 3.
DB. Yeah,
that wasn't him throwing the ball. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine, man. He's awesome. Seriously, you just sit here and watch. When you were talking earlier, he had like 3 straight little, shimmy moves inside the box, juke 2 guys and bounce out. And this football is, as you know, Singer, this Tampa league is damn good football.
Yeah, it's
good football.
It's good. It's not the best in the state, but it's like the top for the private schools.
Privates, yes.
Yeah, it's a lot of private schools.
Yes.
But it's still very good. We played. I can't remember if I played against Berkeley Prep. No, it was Jesuit. It was Justin Thurman School, which is I think a little bit bigger than. So no, Jesuit's bigger than, and they're private. But so it's maybe a little bit of the smaller private league, but it's still very good. Lots of D1 guys for sure.
I mean, look at this. Watch this. It's like come down, fill the alley, knock a guy out. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see because corner, safety, you just throw him at Mike. He's the hell of a running back. He could do so many things. He's got that strength and that ability to change the direction. His hips are awesome. The way he could just flip real quick. Is he a natural nickel? So you don't have to keep going to the nickel and you just throw him in the box and say, cover that damn slot for the next 3 years. He's that type of football player. So I hope all these recruiting services, man, please, this is the Tim Hyde begging you guys, rewatch his film, take a deep breath, put this guy where he belongs. He's a damn good football player.
Yeah. So other bit of, I don't want to say news, but it's at least noteworthy to discuss. On 3, Steve Wiltfong went and saw Indy Ben Davis cornerback Mark Zachary. It's been a little quiet on him recently. Zachary is the top 4 of Notre Dame, Cincinnati, Michigan, and Florida. See, no date or anything to my knowledge, but Zachary seems to be trending towards making a commitment. So Tim, I'm just going to throw this to you. The Irish have Dallas Golden committed, elite wherever he plays, but let's just stick him at corner because that's where Notre Dame's planning on bringing him in with Cree Thomas, who is a very solid with a fairly high ceiling corner, very technically sound. Gives me Ben Morrison vibes, not only because they're from the same high school, just seeing how Thomas plays, a little free safety, in a deep half, like Morrison did his senior year of high school. Just kind of gives me some similar vibes. Ethan Long, 6'2", 190 pounds, picked Notre Dame over Penn State, Ohio State, Michigan, others. Pretty big time player. And you throw those. And Ivan Taylor, who I think is like a 5-star. I think Ivan Taylor's an absolute freak show. Not like going to blow you away with height and length and everything, but as a football player, that's kind of was the thing about Kingston Viliamawasa. It's like, you might not have these elite measurables and whatnot, but you watch him on tape, he's amazing. That's Ivan Taylor for me. So you throw that 4, and if you put Zachary in that group, Tim, and then hell, what if they get Jadon Blair? I mean, defensive back recruiting. When I started 5 years ago, it was not great at all. And now this is like, it's like, seriously, if they signed those 6 guys, that's like Bama level, right? Like that's Georgia. Like that is elite top, 4 top 100 type talents.
You got 4, exactly. You got 4 high-end blue chip football players. And the 2 3-stars are Long, whose film is outstanding, out of Connecticut, who plays really damn good high school football. And Cree Thomas, who replaced, Benjamin Morrison. He was a pot of gold offer. So, Notre Dame saw him and they wanted him for 2 years. So, they don't give, they didn't care about any of that. And he's got outstanding speed. So, Mike, it's freakish on paper coming in. It is freakish, no doubt about it. It is, man. There hasn't been a class. There hasn't been a clash. You literally go back through all the recruiting DBs. Mike, there were some years. I got it all right here. All these notes. There's years Notre Dame signed 1 DB. How in the world do you sign 1 DB? Well, we signed 3 the year before. Well, that's how recruiting went back then. It's interesting.
What year would that have been, Tim? They signed 1. What year would that have been when they signed 1?
Here's 1 in 2002. There's another 2009, Zeke Mata, who was a top 50 player. 2017, they signed 1. 1 DB. This is crazy. So, but then you could have all 3 stars and they hit, like Troy Pride, Julian Love, the 2016 class, all get drafted. Jalen Elliott played multiple years as an NFL free agent. So those guys hit. But on paper, signing this many blue chips, the best one is 1990. It's literally 1990. It's the iconic 1990 recruiting class. And that class had 2 first-rounders, Jeff Burris, who was, parade All-American out of South Carolina, Tom Carter, who was a first-round pick corner, who was all-state in Florida. Back then, if you're all-state in Florida, you're a damn 5-star. So, go from there. And then obviously you had Ivory Covington, who was a great strong safety for Notre Dame, was I want to say 3rd-round pick. So 3 guys drafted out of 5 DBs signed. That's crazy. And the other guys were, it was Willie Clark. Excuse me, Willie Clark out of California was drafted. And Willie Clark was number 2 in the 100 and 200 in the state of California, one of the fastest kids in the country. So outstanding football players. Everyone started that was in that group. Greg Lane, a multi-year starter. Covington, a multi-year starter. Willie Clark battled injuries and things of that nature, but his speed got him in the NFL. That long, Mike. There's been a couple great years. They've had, parade All-American, USA All-American here, but not 4 top 100 football players. I wouldn't be surprised if all 4 are in that level. Blair is outstanding. Mark Zachary is
the only one who's not per the entry ranking is Golden. He's at 104. So
exactly, and I want to scream. Obviously, that it's a crying shame. But and then you watch Zachary. What's Zachary? His best position is what? Probably point guard. Basketball.
Yeah.
There's multiple pictures during the winter of Freeman and Mickens went and watched him play hoops a couple times. When they're allowed to see him, they went and watched his basketball games. So, and then you watch him as a corner, and you're like, dude, I would love to watch that guy play basketball. I bet he is just a straight up nasty defensive point guard. So there's stuff. These guys can all play. And, I've talked about, the bodies. This has to be a big class, because, some years they've only, the last few years, good corners, they've only signed 2. And really Notre Dame's a 3 DB or 3 corner defense, even though the portal has helped them and they've gone to that. And you could, as you and I know, DBs, wide receivers, there's never enough of those in the portal. You could always fill up if you lose out. But, man, if Notre Dame could sign 4 blue chips and your 2 3-stars are Long and Thomas, take it.
Yeah.
Seriously, those guys are unbelievable. I think Thomas is a 4-star in one of the services, and I think Long is in one of the services as well. So, and Ethan Long's probably the most underrated one. When you watch his film, you're like, that guy looks like a top 250 type player with his athleticism and speed out there. So it's a hell of a class, man. And
Mike Mickens, dude. Mike Mickens.
It's-
Pay
it-
that man his money. Like it what?
Seriously,
Yeah.
and those are, especially O'Leary, who's been around, he's built relationships with these guys for the last couple of years. So for him to leave and then
Yeah.
Mickens takes the whole thing, some of those DBs are probably like, oh man, I have O'Leary, how's Mickens? He's a corner. How's he going to work with me? But then in your articles and Kyle Kelly's articles, when you talk to DBs, they're like, man, Mickens has been awesome on the
Yeah.
recruit trail, communicate with those guys.
So, yeah, we don't want to, start counting our chickens before they hatch.
Yeah,
But
you still got 2 more biggies out there to
yeah,
get.
so we'll see on Zachary, and then
Blair.
Blair is very much TBD. I mean, he's taken like 7 officials or something. So first time we've had to say that, because that is a new rule that prospects can take unlimited official visits, but you can only, of course, take an official visit to like one school once. So can't take multiple OVs to Notre Dame.
Good
One
players, though.
one big talking point a couple weeks ago, Tim. I certainly have no problem patting myself on the back when I am correct, but when I'm wrong, I will own up to it as well. So Midwest City, Oklahoma, Carl Albert cornerback Trystan Haynes, I had picked to Notre Dame. I feel like an hour before one of our shows,
Yes.
and earlier in April. He was going into his visits, and I wrote about this in Blue and Gold tonight, but the feeling going into that trip from talking to multiple Notre Dame sources was that like he was kind of giving the staff vibes that he would go and commit. And so that's what led me to log that prediction, which again, I try to treat these predictions as predictions. I could have predicted Dallas Golden to Notre Dame when I already knew he was going to Notre Dame, but I don't, that's not a prediction. That's just, you already know what's happening. So Haynes, I did pick to Notre Dame. And he had his opportunity, and I think kind of what I'm gathering is the opportunity's passed. So I moved that pick to Oklahoma. And yeah, I wouldn't log that pick if I knew he was going there. I just had to move the pick, and Oklahoma made the most sense when I checked in with Oklahoma sources. So did want to note that.
Can they take him as a wide receiver? Because this dude's I love this guy.
Yeah,
Seriously.
his
film is unbelievable.
Don't think so.
I
know, you're sad. You're sad, Tim.
No, I mean seriously. I mean, when we talked about him right before his visit, that's a dude, man. That guy could play football. So looking forward. If he doesn't come to ND, wish him all the luck in the world. Looking forward to watching him. But I wish him well. Yeah, that's a darn good high school football player right there.
Okay. Still kind of working on the punter thing. All right, Tim. We got a few questions to ask our audience here. You guys just happen to be a displaced corporate executive. Maybe you're wanting to put your career in your own hands. Are you an experienced entrepreneur wanting to diversify? Andy Ludicky can help you out if you're answering yes to any of these questions. Andy's a huge college sports fan and a franchise veteran, having owned multiple franchises and businesses using Andy's expertise. He's going to help you find your American dream through a very thorough consultation and evaluation process. And best of all, his services are 100% free to use, so what do you have to lose? Find your perfect franchise at myperfectfranchise.net. Give Andy a call. Let's see if I remember this number off the top of my head. 404-973-9901. 404-973-9901. Give Andy a call. myperfectfranchise.net. Been reading that ad so long, Tim, that I know it by memory. I had to look down once. And I even got the phone number memorized. So there you go. My Perfect Franchise. If you're interested, give Andy a call. Check out his website, myperfectfranchise.net. All right, let's see. Still some recruiting topics, another transfer portal topic, and then we might have one other thing, Tim. But we're going to go quickly to Dylan Robinson from now, is this pronounced Bonita, Tim, this high school?
Yeah,
so like, are Bonita fish big? They're a trophy fish, so yeah, they're pretty big. Step Brothers, anybody in the chat? Let me know. Just quoting a movie reference. So Dylan Robinson, Notre Dame offered him 6'2", 190 pounds from the same high school as Noah McHale, who, by the way, Tim, I'm sure you're very sad by this. He
not coming.
doesn't look like he's coming to Notre Dame.
He's not coming in, do you?
So number 314 overall players listed as an athlete because some schools are recruiting him as a defensive back. Notre Dame likes him at receiver. Offers from UCLA, Utah, Washington, Penn State, Boise, Michigan State, Arkansas. Nice little offer list. So Mike Brown was in Southern California last week, stopped by Bonita, and then Robinson announced the news, I believe Monday night, that he got the offer from the Irish. So anytime Notre Dame kind of makes an offer at this point in the cycle, because Notre Dame's not offering many new guys in the 2025 class these days. Yeah. It's all, I mean, everyone's always like, well, does that mean we're not getting Derek Meadows? No. I mean, I was told, this week that conversations between Notre Dame and Meadows have been fantastic. That doesn't mean they're definitely going to get him, it doesn't mean they're going to get him, but just means that the Irish, feel like they're in a good spot with Meadows, but you can't put all your eggs into just a couple baskets. So Notre Dame could take up to 2 more receivers, and they only have 4 guys on the board right now. So yeah, it makes sense if you're going to take maybe 2 more to have more options. So Robinson, some of the staff offered. So yeah, I do have his film pulled up, Tim, if you want to tell us what you think about him.
Yeah, I mean, there's a tall, good-looking wide receiver. Watch his first few plays. He's one of those guys, same thing. You watch first few plays, watch his athleticism, the way he goes and grabs that football, can plant, cut. Here's him playing dead side tight end. Boom. Goes out and just outruns everybody. He's a good football player. He's all CIF. All CIF is region for his region and whatnot. Division 5, solid, not wild, crazy, public school region, so to speak. Ventura was in that Division 5, which has a hell of a linebacker that they offered in the 2026 cycle. I know who's visited, but good football player, Mike. He's a SoCal guy, so he's used to throwing that ball and catching the ball. I think 30-something yards a catch he averaged last year. They had a stud senior last year. I went and did a little homework on him the other night when he got offered, that sucked up a ton of yards. But good football player. I mean, he's a guy. I mean, you watch this guy's film from start to finish. Mike, me personally, I mean, I know I'm SoCal biased, as we like to say in California. I think he's better than the receivers they have committed now. That's just my humble opinion. So this guy could play. So, you still got Meadows on the board. He's got obviously his big. I saw his finalist when you finalists official visits.
Yeah.
ND, what is it? ND, Georgia, Alabama. And Taylor. I think that might be some of the biggest news is getting Taylor on a visit. And
Taylor,
3 officials.
Yeah.
Just because there's been so much Taylor's leaving the area. But man, Mike, if they pull that up, I know he's a Chicago guy, but doesn't it feel like that would be a big shocker in this class?
Yeah. It wouldn't be if they get Taylor, because he's visited 6 times.
I get that.
But yeah, I've been hearing for the longest time it wasn't going to be Notre Dame.
Georgia, Ohio State.
Ohio State. Notre Dame's running 3rd. And now it's I think Georgia might lead now, but this might be just end up one of those situations where it just falls into Notre Dame's lap.
Close to home. Notre Dame loses those guys all the time. They end up, I'm just going to stay local and go to Florida. That happens a ton. So
yeah, it could work out finally in the Irish's favor.
I agree, but I like Robinson. However it falls and whatnot. I think Kyle posted his article. He's already setting up visits. So
yeah,
good, solid, tall. He's a tall.
So we got
receiver.
So we got Meadows, Taylor, Robinson, Tanuk Haynes.
There's one more. Haynes is not set up. I went on his on-through profile. He's got 3 officials. SC, Taylor, Houston.
Yeah. What happened there was a Texas writer went and saw him from, I don't think from one of the websites, and he put out some Haynes visit dates, but one of them included Notre Dame, and I was told it was the May 31st weekend, and I was told that wasn't accurate. So I removed it. Was on his profile, and I removed it. because I was like, I don't know. I don't really know what the Hines deal is. Because
Boggs is interesting.
Boggs is the other one. Yeah.
But he has set up 4 or 5 officials, and not one of them's ND yet, unless he's moving a team. So that's interesting to still.
Hopefully, I'll find out more tomorrow night when I go and talk to him.
Robinson's a good football player. Like you say, Mike, you and I, for as long as we've been doing this together the last couple of years, wide receivers are everywhere. They're everywhere.
They're everywhere, but somehow Notre Dame has some bad receiver classes.
Exactly.
Which makes it more of an indictment.
Exactly, because they are everywhere in America. And then Robinson's a blue chip guy, so he's like top. On 3 has him in the top 200, so it's not like he's some stiff that no one's ever heard about him. So, good football player.
Okay. Deep breath. All right. Get it together, Singer. You're good. All right. We just kind of are bouncing all over the place, Tim. We have 3 more things to discuss tonight. And I wanted to go to, I was thinking about this. After Golden commit, I was like, man, that recruiting win was damn good. That's one of the best recruiting wins of the Freeman era. Got to throw Kingston in there. I think Kingston was a huge win going into St. John Bosco and landing an elite linebacker over USC and Ohio State. CJ Carr, getting him away. I mean, you look at CJ's offer list, he had everybody. Michigan legacy, obviously. Who are some of the other bigger recruiting wins, Tim? Jalen Sneed was a pretty darn big one. Oregon was really hot after him.
I wrote down a couple right here. That was definitely one I had written down was Sneed, because Sneed's not coming to Notre Dame if Freeman doesn't have the connection with his high school coach.
Yeah, Deuce. People talking about Deuce.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even thought about the 25 class yet because, not done and dusted. But yeah, Deuce Knight is definitely one of the bigger recruiting wins as well. Yeah. Ken Williams, big one. But Tim, where I wanted to go with this, let's just bring everyone down now. What would you say is the biggest loss? Like just the one that stung the most, okay? Now, what we're going to do is I wrote mine down. And I don't know if it's going to show backwards or not when I pop it up on the screen.
Well, let me tell you. Hold on. Let me just take 30 seconds on my biggest.
Okay. On the biggest win?
On the biggest win. Because
okay.
I think Dallas Golden's massive win, but definitely my biggest win is Kingston. Just because getting him, not just Bosco, but the Trinity League and going. I mean, he's a 5-star football player. He's going to play a ton. We know that. I'm still shocked. I mean, seriously, when he announced, and I know you predicted it months in advance. So I think that's just huge just to go in there. Bosco has not been good to them. The whole entire league, the Trinity League, the best football in America, has not been good to Notre Dame. And to pull him away from SC, and then obviously, the Buckeyes, which was pretty much the favorite for a long, long time. So I think that was a beyond big win.
Okay.
For him, and I love your thing with Carr because got him away from Michigan, so that always is nice.
All right, do you have yours written down, Tim?
Oh yeah, mine's.
I have mine written down. It's on blue and gold.
Blue and gold envelope. Yeah, I've seen that.
Envelope. All right, are you ready? So pop it up on the screen. You ready? All right, 3, 2, 1.
Caleb Downs.
Oh, I wrote Keeley. Caleb Downs is a good one, but that was just such a long shot. So that didn't, it was, he took his OV, but Notre Dame finished 4th or 5th? I don't know if you can include Downs.
I have Downs because, this is the Freeman, the recruiting machine. It's like, he's the big recruiter. Go in and get one of the top. He was, as you know, Mike, he was my favorite football player in the entire class.
He's amazing, but I
hold on. He's from Georgia. You could not. So you're telling me Chad Bowden, Marcus Freeman, O'Leary, they could not just. It's a sell job, right? Recruiting is selling, Mike. Sell. They could not sell him like, dude, you're coming in, you're going to start, you're going to follow Kyle Hamilton.
Yeah, he did that at Bama.
Because he was the best freaking high school.
Yeah. So
he could do that anywhere. It's a loss just because of hold on. Safety recruiting's been atrocious at Notre Dame. Let's be brutally honest. Atrocious. Keeley, I get Keeley. And people get so fired up. I don't know if that dude's ever going to play at Alabama, man. He was beyond
Right,
very low average in that spring game I watched. He's going to have a hard time playing. I don't think he's physical enough to do all that. Would he have been different at Notre Dame? Sure. That's definitely the pick. I went with something different than Captain Obvious, which you picked with Keeley. So
Captain Obvious. So I've been thinking about Keon a lot lately, just because of Dallas and reflecting on that recruitment and just the buy-in. How bought in Keon seemed to be with Notre Dame, and what a strong fit he was.
The spring visit, Mike, where he's in the snow and he's walking around in just a t-shirt.
There was a lot there. That one just stung. Like there's decommitments where it's like, all right, this is a business, you get it. But then there's some where I think Notre Dame's like legitimately like sad about.
Yeah.
And that's one on Keon Keeley. So again, he went to Berkeley Prep. That's where Golden went. So that's what I've been thinking about that recruitment and reflecting on a little bit. And then he's just a guy at Bama. He's just a guy.
Really
among other elite, defensive ends and whatnot. And Notre Dame has, some good defensive ends, but you go to Notre Dame and you're like for him specifically, he goes to Notre Dame and you better believe they're putting him on that field some last year. So I don't know.
Was the talent disparity that large to where he could play at Notre Dame and he can't even tie his shoes at Alabama?
I don't know. I don't know if he actually would have played at Notre Dame, but
yeah.
Maybe.
No, I mean, he was I'll be honest with you. That was a conversation on our message board. People talking about Keeley in the spring game. I had zero interest in watching Alabama spring game. So I was like, hell, I'm going to go on this thing and see what's going on. Mike, I charted his damn football plays. I charted how many times he stood up, how many times he did a 3-point stance.
You have nothing better to do, Tim. You have 3 kids.
Yeah, I have nothing better to do. Well, it's 10:30 at night, Mike. It's my alone time. I get to relax, okay? So
you've already watched the Sun Bowl 52,000 times.
Someone's arguing with me how he's a Viper. The dude's not a Viper. He's a wide side. He'd be Baptiste at Notre Dame. He's a wide side, field side defensive end at Alabama. So I was a little stunned.
Someone said, Mike, shocked you didn't go with Bowen. See, that's things from he's a really good football player, but I'm going the full spectrum here. You guys understand, the relationship side of things it's real. I think you guys just think a lot of this is just black and white, and it's just you build a strong relationship and that's just that end of story. No, there's real feelings and emotions with both parties, and Notre Dame was really freaking bummed about Keelan Keeley leaving for Bama.
Oh, sure.
So
who else is there?
I still think they're a little sting still a little bit. So.
Who else is that? I mean, obviously Justin Scott. We'll see how he pans out. And roll from there.
Yeah, for me, stings.
Yeah, I had Keeley. Keeley was my second pick. I am such a Caleb Downs fan. That dude is absolutely amazing.
So good.
I just wanted him. I just wanted to watch that guy start for 3 years, go to the pro, high five, and it was just like, come on, you're Hamilton. Just follow the footsteps.
Yeah, he's another one of those guys. He is probably a step above, or a half step, maybe an Ivan Taylor as a prospect. Taylor Downs was just such a freak. Just such a freak.
Taylor's in the same category as Downs? Wow, that's high praise.
We're in the same discussion. I mean, Downs is a better football player. But I'm telling you, dude, Ivan Taylor's special. We'll see. We also haven't seen Ivan Taylor as a senior yet. We saw Downs.
That's true.
So
that's true.
All right.
That's a good one though, because he's obviously only been here a few years. So how about this? What recruit is Freeman signed that's not panning out?
I don't like this game, Tim.
I know. We don't want to be negative. We don't want to be
No, it's not that. It's just like, what do you want me to say? It's you're putting me in a terrible spot.
No, we won't. It's still early in the process.
I don't know. What all right, we're moving on.
I mean, he did jump on a flight to go get Tobias Merriweather, right? Was that the second one after they got Billy? Then he went to Tobias, right?
Billy to Tobias sounds right. Yeah,
I think so. So there you go. All right, what else you got?
So Notre Dame is looking at adding an interior defensive lineman in this 2025 class. Jalen Wiggins is someone who Chad Bowden went and saw last week, Notre Dame's director of player personnel, and extended an offer to Wiggins, the top 100 prospect and Florida commitment from Tallahassee, by the way, which is, of course, where Florida State's at. So that's an interesting kind of subplot here. Tallahassee kid coming to the Florida Gators. I bet that goes over well in his hometown. But yeah, Tim, Kyle and I kind of got into a discussion about he thinks that Notre Dame really needs to dive into more, taking another like a Viper, but Notre Dame is eyeing more of an interior defensive lineman. So thoughts on this offer and kind of this whole discussion?
Yeah, I actually watched a little bit of his film earlier today. Good looking football player. I mean, you're getting a guy out of the SEC, you're getting a guy out of away from the Gators. If they were able to pull him and whatnot. Yeah, he plays a ton of, and definitely looks like a dude who's gonna just balloon up and just be a monster playing on the interior. But good little energy. He just looks like a strong football player, point of attack and whatnot. It's got some good little hip movement I saw on his film. Mike, seriously, man, if they go in and get another Florida guy, I'm gonna have to eat crow because Notre Dame stunk at Florida for it seems like forever. And they're getting some dudes this year, man. They're getting some straight up. We're gonna come into Notre Dame and play early type of athletes. But yeah, you know what? And I'll be with you because this is another discussion we have a ton is on D line, but it goes back to my, talking last week where one of my spring football was the 23-24 class. Those guys are getting better. So they're all redshirt freshmen, true freshmen that are going to redshirt next year. So you come into 2025 with a lot of young bodies that have been in development for 2 and 3 years. So it's not, and that's probably, Tim Hyde being sweet and cuddly. I don't think it's as dire as need as so many people.
Talking about Viper?
Just D-line in general with some of these guys that are playing. And what the portal is, Mike, there's always going to be a fifth-year guy, right? There's always going to be some older. I mean, Baptiste got drafted. He barely played for 5 years at Ohio State. Goes to Notre Dame as a 6-year guy. So there's going to be those down the road guys who don't play for 4 now that the COVID's going to be going away, who just going to, boom, I got a lot of playing time at Duke. I could come start for you from a year and be a 6th, 7th round draft pick. There's going to be a ton of those guys down the road. But I think Notre Dame has done a pretty solid job recruiting 4 guys each and every year. And I think it will show in next year's depth that 23-24 class takes shape. And the same thing at Viper. Botella's going to be gone. Junior's going into his last year. But then you still got a bunch of young guys that they've recruited. And we know that Viper is a damn linebacker. It's a stand-up rush linebacker hybrid type guy.
So who do you like there moving forward, like after this year?
Well, I hope it's the dude they're getting out of Jay Sarah, Faramo. I hope that's the guy who it is down the road. Man, Faramo is that's the position I see him at. That dude would be unbelievable hanging off the edge, rolling from there. So just keep recruiting linebackers, man. Recruit a bunch of linebackers. You're going to find one of those guys to rush. That's the way I look at it. So,
okay. All right. So
taking a little bit of different tilt, especially after the spring game, a lot of these young guys are going to be really good next year.
Okay. But yeah, let's move back to Wiggins specifically. Committed to Florida. One of my coworkers who covers the Gators for On3 was just at his practice today and sent me an interview where Wiggins was talking about Notre Dame and Florida and whatnot. I haven't even listened to it yet. I'm sure I will tomorrow, and I'll have that story at blueandgold.com. But I put this in my Lucky Charms article earlier today, but you can find it there. But Wiggins is apparently interested in Stanford. So that just right there tells you a little bit. Like, one, his recruitment's not locked down, and two, he's a fantastic student. If Stanford is looking at you, you're a really good student. So Jalen Wiggins, yeah, I would not want to get on his bad side. Like, this looks like a bad mofo, for sure. Like, top 100 prospect, number 92 overall prospect, Tallahassee James Rickards. Yeah, Florida commit. It's been
Very
committed there for
physical.
just a few months.
Yeah, and I'll say very physical on film. Dude likes contact. He's not soft whatsoever. So, but as you know, in recruiting, the key is what? Get him up for a visit.
Yeah.
And if he comes up for a visit, as you know, Mike, they're in the game.
Yeah. All right, Tim. Last thing we're going to talk about here is Notre Dame offered a West Virginia transfer defensive back. How about this, Tim? He graduated high school in 2018. So he's a member of the 2018 recruiting class. That's Phil Dracovic. So he's going
and all those
Houston.
guys.
Oh my
Houston Griffith, Mike.
So
Right,
Miller's going into his 7th year of college football. 7th. So I think his first 3 years, he didn't really do much. It was at Kent State. Just to make sure you guys heard me correct. Kent. So yeah, not Penn State, Kent State. Didn't really play much his first 3 years. And then 2021 and 22 had a couple solid years. 2023 got hurt. He transferred to West Virginia. And he got hurt really early in the year, so we got a medical red shirt. So he's got a red shirt year, a medical red shirt year, and a COVID year. I think that's how he's able to have going into his 7th year. So here's kind of the Notre Dame tie. I was really proud of myself. I put this together when he committed to when he committed to West Virginia, December 2022. Matt Jansen was on the West Virginia staff. Matt Jansen's now at Notre Dame as director of scouting. And I believe Jansen does a lot with the transfer portal. So that's kind of the connection there. And I don't know, what Notre Dame, like, if they're going to be able to get this kid. He's got a few other offers, but very much, Tim, a 1-year rental. I don't think he's going to be able to play an 8th year. So, where would you see him playing at Notre Dame? Like, what would you think if the Irish are able to get this kid?
I mean, it sounds like it just a depth, another body, right? A corner, nickel, that type of, third corner type of a football player. And he's very athletic. This dude is not a stiff whatsoever. He's definitely athletic, has really nice ball skills, looks very speedy, cuts. He's one of those, it's like Sauce Gardner, right? I mean, where's he from, by the way? Where did he high school?
South Carolina. Somewhere.
Okay, so he's a deep South guy, just like, well, Sauce was Detroit, I believe. But he's like one of those hidden gems buried down there and comes up and could play. Once again, wide receivers, DBs are everywhere in the country. He's not bad. I'll be honest with you. When I heard 7th year, I'm like, 7th year? Freeman, what are you doing out there? It's like, my first thought is like, okay, you're going for a 7th year corner. None of the young guys can play, or are they a year away from playing? But they obviously are looking correct. They brought in the Rice guy. They're still hunting. Looks like they're just hunting for an older body, a guy that's got a lot of battle wounds and some football scars on him from Saturdays, and not having to put pressure on Hobbs and Moore, true freshman. Bell's gone. He just looks like another DB in the fold, and it goes back to my one thing, Mike. Ben Morrison, hopefully that thing's not out longer than we all think.
Yeah, he was pictured with Cam Hart, and I think Kyle Hamilton was even there, and Clarence Lewis and Mickens, and Morrison was out of the sling in that picture, so that was good to see. Your thought was like, all right, maybe the freshmen aren't ready or whatever. Mine was the staff probably knows exactly how they're getting down to 84, and they have another spot. And
exactly. Oh, so, I totally agree with that.
They could take Miller and this Australian punter who is on scholarship, as I talked about earlier in the show. So if they get this kid, I think that would put him at like 90. So it's like or maybe it's 89. But I feel like it's 90 scholarship. So yeah, I'm sure they know exactly who is leaving and what that's going to look like. So
is this the Singer rule? Is all Singer's always about follow the visits, and it always works itself out.
It's all. Hey man, it does. It's like these guys know.
He's a good athlete. If he came here and played, you're going to get an older guy who's played a bunch of football. So sometimes you just need that, I think, and it goes back to the Freeman. He probably feels like, hey, once again, we got a playoff type of a team. Let's go find an old guy who could come in here and help us out. So he's not bad. I mean, I YouTube him. He's a pretty good little football player.
Rice kid out of the question then. I don't know exactly where that stands, to be completely honest. I know it seemed like a good trip, but I'm not even convinced Notre Dame is going to land a transfer portal DB yet. It still kind of seems
shopping. Yeah, I think they're just shopping and collecting transcripts and seeing what's out there.
One last thing, Tim. Jack here says, what if we took J.J. McCarthy instead of Tyler Buchner? A lot of people don't know this, but like, and this was like right when I came on the beat in 2019. But I mean, Buchner was already committed like 2 or 3 months by that point.
Yeah.
And just hearing that like JJ wanted to go to Notre Dame. That's at least what I kind of gathered. Like JJ McCarthy wanted to go to Notre Dame.
And Ohio State.
And Notre Dame, had Buchner at camp and they picked Buchner. Just, and now look, I'm not a big JJ McCarthy guy. Just to kind of be fair, like I think him going to the top 10 is kind of wild, but I've been wrong before, so we'll see. But yeah, certainly would have, McCarthy would have been pretty good here.
No, I mean it's interesting because this is talked about. I always see this. I mean, Mike, seriously, this thing is brought up every other week on the message board.
But Tim,
but it's hold on, it's always a revisionist history as well. Hey, I've gone on that thing. It's called Google.com, and you could find tons of. It is a fascinating to read recruiting articles from that whole period. Buchner, McCarthy, McCord, that whole flow of that whole class between Ohio State, because Michigan, Harbaugh and them did not jump on him early when you read it. And the flow of that. Buchner was, 5-star top 50. He was, highly ranked. And people forget Buchner's finals was Bama, Stanford, and whatchamacallit, obviously Notre Dame. I know Alabama was in his final grouping as well. So it's I mean, people go out and Google it. It is a pretty cool little flow.
Yeah.
Because McCarthy, believe it or not, was the last out of this group to commit because he kept bouncing around all these visits and all the coaches were like, we're taking someone else. We're taking someone else. We're taking someone else. So it's for me, I didn't follow, the QB thing like crazy, but when you go back and read the research and the articles, it's pretty fascinating how he ended up at Michigan. He was almost like the last man standing and they needed a quarterback.
I like McCarthy better than Buchner in the 21 class. Kind of can't say that in my line of work. I mean, what good would that get me? But I mean, dude, I saw them both in the same settings and whatnot. But it just, my point in talking about this, it's obviously because look, JJ just got drafted and so it's timely. I'm not just bringing this up just to
ring on his finger.
They could bring it up, but also, dude, like I remember hearing stories that like Caleb Williams and that whole just show that he is, probably would have worked out at Notre Dame, but still, Notre Dame didn't even call him. Like, and I was told that like people at Gonzaga and DC were like, hey, like you guys should come see our quarterback. Like, hey, like this kid's really good. And he goes to a school that like is very much, a Notre Dame feeder type school, Gonzaga and, in DC, and just wasn't even interested in Caleb Williams.
He would never.
I know, but you don't know that back in 2019. He's a totally different kid in 2019 than he is.
True, but what that's another one where people talk about that because
didn't offer Caleb Williams.
No, exactly. But you start. Sometimes you don't offer a guy because you're just like, I don't want to say a waste, but it's like you got to know sometimes in recruiting circles or whatever the type of guy you're recruiting and going from there. I mean, we can look now and say, oh, Caleb at Notre Dame, hell yeah, would have been awesome. He's a freak. He's a damn good quarterback. So, but
Yeah, I don't know, man.
but he also went from he went from this nice, beautiful Catholic high school in Washington D.C. to Norman, Oklahoma. Why did he pick Norman, Oklahoma? Because of Lincoln Riley. Why did he follow Lincoln Riley to SC? Because Lincoln Riley. I mean, he just followed him. I mean, he's even talked in his interviews because someone even asked him, why'd you go to Oklahoma? He saw Lincoln Riley's track record. So once we got into recruiting, that's where he was going. So
yeah, I'm just happy that quarterback recruiting really seems to have it's come around. Like it's with Gino. Like I don't know. I feel like it's really it's come around. So yeah.
Yeah,
We're
like,
gonna end there. I'm
people,
on a little somber note.
no, it's interesting. Like people in the chat saying Reese didn't call McCarthy.
No, I didn't say. I corrected him. I said Caleb. My understanding is that Notre Dame just didn't even really
visited
reach out.
Notre Dame multiple times and whatnot.
Yeah, so that was
the whole. Hold on, and this is always a fascinating thing because Tommy Reese gets more blame than anyone on the face of the earth. But dude was a quarterback coach. Who is the OC? I mean, does the quarterback coach pick before the OC or the head coach? What's the pecking order?
I love that. I love that, Tim.
What's the pecking
when I'm
order?
on your side of the argument, I will say, I mean, at what point do we now blame the Pope? Because the Pope.
Oh, exactly. It's always fascinating. Well, Reese picked him. Reese was a 27-year-old quarterback coach. You're telling me he had carte blanche over all the people that were coming to Notre Dame?
So you blame what Chip Long or no?
Chip Long was the OC. So Chip
Long,
it was Chip Long is the forgotten OC who did a hell of a job at Notre Dame, but righting the ship after the mess from 2016. But he's never mentioned in anything of wanting his quarterback pecking order and stuff of that nature. So it's just always fascinating.
Can we end on a good note, Tim?
Always on a good note.
You got anything for me?
Oh, good note. Oh, asking me.
Yeah, you got a good note for me? Anything to end the show on?
Just wrap up the show. I mean, it's like they got a hell of a football player out of Dallas Golden. Texas A&M's coming up, Mike. It's like we just talked for a long time about a million topics forever. Joe Alt, one of only the 7th Notre Dame football player picked in the top 5 since the from era to now, which is awesome to think about. Blake Fisher going as high, proving so many people wrong. Who said, he's not. I can't believe people who thought Blake Fisher's a damn good football player. And all you have to do for people who don't think things, go listen to what the GMs who picked guys say about them and what their selection process is. You learn so much about that. So the draft was awesome. Like I said, it's only been a handful of times in the last 20 years. They've had 7 guys picked. So I think that's cool for Notre Dame moving forward. And let's roll from there, man. We'll have another great show next week. Keep marching forward. And this football game's coming up August 31st. So that's the countdown.
All right. Lots of different discussions today. Recruiting, transfer portal, picking off old wounds and talking about Notre Dame's quarterbacks on the roster. So fun stuff. If you're just joining us here recently, we blabbered for over 80 minutes. So rewind, watch the beginning of the show. And we are going to end the show there. No recruiting update video with myself and Kyle Kelly. We will not have one Friday. So our next live show will be next Wednesday night. I'll be back. I'll be back home. So we will do the our Notre Dame football show, and we'll have a ton to talk about from my road travels and whatnot. So folks, really appreciate you tuning in to this week's show. Please hit the thumbs up on this video if you have not done so yet, and subscribe to the Blue and Gold YouTube channel. Join the other 25,000 plus Notre Dame fans who have done so, and head over to blueandgold.com. Our offer still stands for you guys, $1 for 2 months. I mean, really a heck of a deal when you use that promo code UND1. This is for new subscribers, so please consider subscribing to the Blue and Gold website, which is, of course, blueandgold.com. Appreciate you guys for watching this week's show or listening via podcast. Thank you very much, and as always, we will catch you next time.